Good morning, or good day, or good evening. For me, it's morning, early morning, and while I was in the bathroom getting myself ready for the day, it's those moments when like other people might be under the shower and I'm just pottering about and something pops into my head that I wanted to share, and it's about extraction culture and what a beautiful example I had recently of myself falling under the spell of extraction culture. And in case you don't know what this means, it's basically when you try to extract as much as you can out of a situation, out of a person, out of an experience, while giving as little as you can. So taking as much as you can while giving as little as possible. And that's how our societies work in these days. And it doesn't matter whether you go to the Americas or whether you are in Europe, like myself, or possibly even in Asia. We all have been growing up with this idea that we try to get away with as much as we can while giving as little as we can in return. And we even do that to our own bodies, our own self. Like, we extract so much from our bodies. That's why we get to burnout. That's why we have all these diseases, because we ask our body for more than it can give, because we have been growing up with this kind of conditioning. And I had, as I shared, an example recently, because I was a speaker at a summit. It's a beautiful summit called Women Lighting the Way, which is all about bringing out women's stories, hard times they have experienced in their lives, or just major turning points, and how they made it through, and how they grew through the experience, how they found their own light through the experience, and how now, by sharing their insights, by sharing what they've learned in their process, they light the way for other people who might still be in this dark phase of their life. Or, I mean, we all go through these every once in a while, and then it's nice to be reminded that yes, we all do have a light inside of us. Yes, even the worst of experiences can sometimes become our greatest teacher, our greatest healer. And what I found when I was pondering on the nature of the summit, we were all asked to share our personal stories. We were explicitly not asked to teach something. And when I think of a lot of summits that I see out there and that I've been an attendee to, most of them are about, hey, teaching you about business, or teaching you how to unleash, or having practices, not just teaching, but even showing you practices, how you can liberate your body, or whatever it is, or have a somatic experiencing kind of thing. And it's really interesting, because for this summit that I participated in, Women Lighting the Way, we did have attendees, and also having a group of 1,500 people, a Facebook group, that are potentially interested. I would have thought that we got way more attendees than we did. Now, I certainly go for quality over quantity, and I am super happy with the people who are there. It just made me think, why is that, or why could that be? And I think I found this link to the extraction culture paradigm that we live in. And I found in myself even this judgment that, since it's not a teaching, not a let me teach you 5 tips how you can improve your marketing, or let me give you 3 ways how to have less stress in your life, or how you can manage your time better, which is a whole other thing. We told stories of vulnerability, stories that were real, like the real, raw stories. And that might not have been as appealing to people, and especially to our brains, who are so programmed to look for how can I get as much as I can out of the experience while giving as little. I mean, it's for free anyway, so that's not the issue, but how can I get lots of value out of it? And hearing someone will be teaching or leading you, guiding you through an experience is potentially more valuable to your brain than listening to a story of someone who went through hardship. And it's fascinating, because what is also true is that we humans, we have evolved through storytelling. We learn through stories, through telling our stories, because the telling itself can be a really healing experience. And women have been kept from that for a very long time. So we've got lots of healing to do. But also listening to someone else's story is healing, it's connecting, it can make you feel less alone in this thing called life. And so it's how we transport lessons and how we transport our culture. I mean, the humans have had oral traditions for as long as we can remember. Like, it started very late to write something down as compared to how long we've been on the planet. And so we are an oral tradition, an oral species that teaches, quote unquote, by telling stories. And when you listen to a story, you automatically start empathizing with the person. You learn how to put yourself into someone else's shoes and take on their perspective for a while. So you foster understanding for other people and how they do their life and why they do certain things the way they do, because you understand more about them. And because of that relationship that you build when you listen to someone's story, you're much more likely even to do similar things, to do certain things or to avoid certain things. Because, like, when I think of myself and someone tells me what to do or what not to do, there is this little rebel inside that automatically wants to go, no, and now I'm not doing it or doing it just for being the opposite's sake. And when we listen to stories, I think it's far less likely to fall into that pattern, to doing it on purpose, like doing the exact opposite on purpose, because we've started empathizing, we've started building this relationship, and then we are much more open and receptive to the lessons that we can get from what was shared in our personal life. And it's also this part of connection that builds. Like, humans have always met in circle and sat in circle and shared stories in circle. And there is something in the air, something in the atmosphere of being in circle that makes this experience so much deeper and almost surreal sometimes and magical. We feel less alone. We see ourselves in the other person, and we had panels for that a summit on Saturday and Sunday, a live panel where 7 of the speakers would come together and just share their experience of sharing their story. And there were so many gems coming out of there. Like, we all had this sense that, I took something away for myself from every story. Big things, little things that might or might not even be related to the story that was said, but there was some kind of aha, something pinging inside of me. And it makes us see that we're not so different after all. We all go through experiences and we all have our own way of dealing with it, but at the core, we are not so different. And when, like, I was pondering if we went back to that kind of thinking, to value a story, to value a human being that is telling you their story, that is opening up, because it really requires being vulnerable. It really requires being honest with the self and then sharing that because sharing it always has the risk of rejection, and we want nothing less than being rejected by our tribe. When we think of our human evolution, because being rejected from the tribe means almost certain death, because of all the risks and dangers out there in the darkness, in the woods, or in the desert, or wherever you lived. And so opening up like that, it takes courage, and being allowed to receive that kind of courage together with the story and the lessons the person learned is actually a real gift. And I think, at least I myself, sometimes forget how much of a gift it is. And, you know, I even thought, like, yeah, well, why would people sign up for the summit? It's just us telling stories. They are not even, like, getting the hard facts, teaching kind of thing. What do they get out of it? And I'm like, hey, Lisa, do you hear yourself talking? Because I've fallen under the same spell. I've grown up in this society too that teaches us to extract and exploit as much as we can, even from ourselves and our own bodies. Yeah, and I hope that you got something out of this little speech that these thoughts that I had and that I really wanted to share with you. And yeah, I wish you a beautiful day. And if you like, let me know what your takeaway is from my little video now, like what it made you think of, what kind of aha or insight you had. I am very curious about that and would love a good conversation. Have a good day. Bye.